Hello, my name is Laken McKinzie, and today I'm going to explain the effects of endophyte, prevention methods, and treatments to its effects on cattle. First of all, I'm going to tell you what fescue is. Fescue is a grass that is commonly grown in southeast Kansas and grazed by thousands of cattle. Fescue seed is sometimes harvested, and it is also baled into hay. Endophyte, which is also known as something that I cannot actually pronounce, is a disease that most fescue pastures will actually be infected by. Scientists have known of endophyte in fescue for a long time, but it wasn't until the late 1970s that the discovery was linked to the effects it had on cattle. This disease can show no signs on the animal that has consumed the infected grass, or it can have the opposite effects, causing many bad reactions. Fescue toxicosis cost the U.S. beef industry an estimated $500 million to $1 billion annually. Unlike the effects it has on cattle, endophyte has positive effects on the fescue itself. It actually becomes drought resistant and handles stress really well. There are many different effects endophyte has on cattle. For example, foot rot, which is also known as fescue foot, behavioral changes, body and rectal temperature changes, poor blood flow, and it can also cause rough or woolly hair coats. My husband and I have about 100 head of cattle turned out at all times. Foot rot is something we doctor most. This is where the skin between the hooves becomes soft after heavy rain and the pasture has been wet, and a rock, stick, or anything sharp punctures the skin, opening a gateway to an infection. If it isn't a real serious case, we will sometimes run the cow, calf, bull, or whatever it is across some large rocks to break open the infection. This will allow the wound to open and drain. Then we usually dart them with tetracycline. If the case is more serious, we will catch the cow, break the wound open with a scalpel or sharp knife, then apply a topical medicine and give the cow a few sulfur pills. Diagnosis is pretty easy. Usually if a cow is limping or has a swelled foot, that means foot rot. A couple of these pictures are kind of gross. The two pictures on the left are examples of foot rot. You can clearly see how much swelling there is in the top picture, and you can see the wound in between hooves in the bottom. The third picture is of a cow in terrible poor condition. Personally, I don't think this is just from endophyte, but the woolly and rough hair coat is definitely a sign of endophyte. Actually, preventing endophyte is a difficult task. There are some methods that may not completely prevent it, but you can help it drastically. The obvious is pasture and stock management. Then there is clipping seed heads, starving out the fescue, and restraining from feeding infected hay. While pasture stock management may be the most obvious answer, it is not the most convenient. Basically, once you start noticing the effects that infected fescue has on your herd, you can move them out. The picture in the slide is a fancy, handy-dandy new stock trailer that is used to haul cattle out of your pastures, and in my case, helps pay the bills, because that is my husband's trailer when it was new 2.5 years ago. Believe me, it does not look like that now. By clipping seed heads, you're just going to keep the bush hog high enough to get the tops of the fescue cut off. Starving out the fescue is pretty self-explanatory. You just have to find another grass that cattle will graze well that will also starve out the fescue and plant it. In conclusion, fescue does affect all breeds. You can use some antibiotics to treat the effects and infections, but there is still no cure discovered, but scientists are working on it. Thank you for listening.